This is November 7 Echo Charlie Victor with N7 UVH. And boy, I got to say, at this point in time, Pat, you are more than just an Elmer. You're a digital Elmer there. I've seen on YouTube with the Spokane DX Association. And boy, you're mentoring local hams still to this day. So pleasure to meet you and chat with you and finally get you here for Talkin' Shack in 5 questions. I thank you for stopping by. Over.
Yeah, right on, Sean. N7ECV, 7UVH, and Post Falls, Idaho. Yeah, it's fun. I remember when my Elmer helped me out and how grateful I was for him to, like, loan me equipment or tell me what to do, not to do. So, yeah, that sort of thing is a hoot.
You know, I got to say before we get started that I was given a class, got my license, and then nothing else. The only reason why I didn't get on the air between 93 and '07 is like that the art of the Elmer was doing something very strange, and I missed the boat. So it's a pleasure to see each facet of it. It's not just a YouTube guy, or it's not just some old guy in a garage, you know, but what fascinates me the most is the stories. So we'll start here with just a few questions. It just takes a little bit of time, okay?
Oh, I'm in no hurry.
All right. Well, I appreciate it there, Pat. First one to start with is what got you interested in radio?
Boy, that would be my uncles. My mom had 7 brothers. Most all of them were hams at one time or another, and they were all from Sandpoint, locally here. And so they all had ham radios and stuff, and being a little boy and whatnot, I'd play with the radio and listen, you know, and dialing in and listening to conversations. And one of the uncles actually had an illegal broadcast station, AM broadcast station, just outside the AM broadcast band. And he was in high school, and I think he was putting out 10 watts or something like that. And he would spin records that he had, and the kids would call in, you know, on the telephone and whatnot. And so he started out DJing that. So that kind of got me going a little bit. If the radio station was still up in the attic up there. You had to go up some creaky stairs and whatnot, and no heat, but it was still up there set up. And so I got playing around with his radio. He had an old Kenwood TS520, and he would put that mobile in his 63 Impala and bring it up to North Idaho when he visited. So I'd sit out in his car and sometimes run the battery dead, listening, spinning the dial. And he told me, he says, you get your ham license, you can have that radio. So that was my incentive.
Oh, satisfactory. Wow, what a fun story, man. I can't imagine the TS520 mobile, but radio's as big as this Ameritron we're sitting on the hump there. Hey, thank you for sharing about the DJ stuff there. It's interesting, you know, when I got my call or started class, I had just gotten back from an amateur disc jockey night on 105.7 KOZZ in Reno there. And Monday there's this flyer that says amateur radio license class, and I thought for sure it was synchronicity. The world was talking to me. How neat for that to be kind of tied into how you got started. That's very cool. So how long have you been a ham there, Pat?
Let's see. I got my license. Well, I got my novice license at 18, so and then I let it lapse. I think that was 4 years. And when I got my 20s, got married really young and had kids really young, and then I got back into it when in 1990. So this current license is roughly 35 years.
Oh, satisfactory. It's a long time to be holding on to a hobby and stuff there. Well, that being said, so it's kind of a two-part question. A, what's your favorite mode? And then do you have a favorite brand? Are you an ICOM, a Yaesu guy? Is there something, if you were given a microphone to pitch for either one, your mode or your favorite brand there, what would those be? Over?
Good question. I think my favorite mode is I like the contest. and I think I got into RTTY contesting, and one of the guys had an old teletype machine, and he was just converting from paper to a Commodore 64 computer and interfacing it with a radio, and that really got my juices going, how you can hook a computer to a radio, if you could call a Commodore 64. It was a computer. And so that got me going. And so RTTY, I've been contesting it for many years. And then as far as brand, I would say, hey, Kenwood, because that 520 was my first radio. And I've stuck with Kenwood all along. In fact, I had the 440 that the gentleman had that we were just talking to a little bit ago, and the only reason why I stuck with that is because my stuff was hooked to a computer. So my cabling was the same. It went the same for my first solid state radio. I think it was the 530. So the cables all stayed the same. So if I got a new 440, I'd just plug it in. And I went to the 520 or the 450s, the 470s on up. All the cabling stayed the same. So being a contester, digital guy, that was the main reason. Nowadays, the technology of radios and stuff, I think they're all great. I don't think there is a bad radio. For me, I stuck with Kenwood just because of cabling.
Boy, and you know, sometimes that's all it takes too, and it's doing good. And you are one heck of a contester, sir. You're being rather modest there. Can you tell us about some of your accomplishments, at least on your RTTY there?
Yeah, I like the Roundup. That's the big one, the ARRL Roundup that's in January, and I usually do pretty good top scoring in it. I've taken first place in Idaho several times, first place in 7th District, maybe 5th place in the United States, 15th in the world. So that's been probably some of the other the 7QP 7th area QSO party, 7QP. I got quite a few first places in it. In fact, I'm looking at the plaques on the wall from it. But yeah. Done that, and so after you do it a couple times and whatnot, I haven't really tried that hard to spend that much time in the seat. Now, that being said, I'm a member of a DX group locally here, and now they have sanctioned contests. Like this last weekend was the CQ sideband contest. Well, that is one contest that the club works as club members, and we have trophies and plaques within our club for that. So it kind of makes you stay in the seat a little bit longer. 7UVH.
Oh, no doubt. And 7 Echo Charlie Victor. No doubt. That's worth paying the dues and everything right there for the club to just kind of reciprocate the favors back. It gives everybody a reason to play around. You know, it's funny. Once you work everybody down the band, then all you got to do is sit and wait for the next one. So I guess it could get a little bit lonely. Hey, so I've got 2 more questions for you. Have you got time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this one, fairly simple. Any advice you'd give the new hams today if there was a group of new hams sitting in front of you, they just got their ticket, say their general ticket or tech even, any advice that you would offer new hams right now in front of you today? Over.
Very good question. What's the first thing that comes to my mind is, noise, shack noise, wall warts, computers, your variable speed washing machine, and how to learn to track those down and try to, if you can't hear people, you can't work them. I mean, you could put an amplifier on and all that sort of stuff and become an alligator station. You're all mouth and no ears. It ain't going to do any good. So I would say emphasize your receive no matter where you're at. We have HOAs now. We have cities and noisy stuff. So I think that would be something is learn how to do it. And The other thing that come to mind is get into digital radio. With the FT8 modes now, you don't have to have a big antenna. 50 watts, and you can get your DXCC. So that would be the direction. If they were talking to me, that would be the direction I push them.
Oh, very great answer. I do appreciate you taking the time for that. You know, I've never worked more than 10 watts FT8 until last night. I whatever power output is the max, well, about 300 watts, I guess, with this amplifier just one time with the ALC rolled way back. And boy, that splat on PSK 31 was sure impressive. But I had to get out of there because I didn't want to be answering anybody's call. All my FT8's been 10 watts or under, and I'm trying to keep it that way. I've got one more question for you there, Pat. So along the lines of the last one, if you could just finish this sentence and answer it for me. The future of ham radio is ? Go ahead.
I would say needs more young blood. I think with the digital stuff and hooking radios to computers, I mean, there's stuff that I'm not even into where they use mesh and Wi-Fi and interconnecting. I think the ham radio is bright because of that technology, and it's not tubes and CW keys anymore.
Oh, very good advice. Very good advice. Well, I thank you for taking a moment to chat with me, and I look forward to getting this edited and put up. You're a very valuable asset to the amateur radio community, and I hardly know you.
Oh, we'll be doing more of that. That was a lot of fun.
I appreciate it. And as a group, we need to at least go raise hell at a IHOP or something one day. Thank you again, Pat. You have a good afternoon.
See you, Sean. Have a good one. And go buy a lottery ticket, 7 UVH.
Yeah, you play the same numbers. Just pick something and play them for $1 a piece there. Now, good luck and have fun, and enjoy the view. It's time for them cute sweaters to come out. N7 ECV, I got a QSY.
Bye-bye.